Barbara Garson, author of Down the Up Escalator. Thanks so much for being here with Main Street.
Thank you.
So you spent a lot of time chronicling post-recession life down during the Occupy movement on Wall Street. Why do you think it helped to have a dramatist lens in chronicling the dramas and interpersonal tales of this whole economic story?
Well, a lot of other people write about economics and it's very boring. So I want to tell the truth, but my talent is making a story out of it with a beginning, middle, and an end. So for instance, I wanted to explain derivatives. So right after Lehman Brothers crashed, I said, well, there's bound to be a lot of unemployed derivative people, feral derivative workers running around lower Manhattan unemployed. And I started looking for them. So I began the story with the hunt for the missing unemployed man. And it took me step by step around banks till I realized they had in fact all been reemployed right away. They were snapped up by places like Merrill. But that's not crucial to the story, but somehow it built up the drama till I finally found them and got them to explain to me what they were doing. And I think I made that explanation clear to people.
Your writing recently in the New Yorker was compared to that of James Agee in Let Us Now Praise Famous Men. There he chronicled post-depression sharecroppers, and you're really focused on the different microcosms of folks in post-recession life.
I'm glad I didn't have, I wish I could write like Agee, but I don't know what good it would have done me to have his famous photographer Walker Evans with me, because the drama was hard. You know, poor people in America are not that poor. Everybody that I met can eat. In fact, everybody that I met always stops for takeout coffee. None of the long-term unemployed that I interviewed took a thermos with them. They just look like regular people. They just have new anxieties. So you have to use a lot of thought and storytelling ingenuity to figure out how to tell the story of the anxieties of people who simply can't do what they expected or hoped. I mean, how do you describe? It's not like showing the sharecropper with her two children faced away from her, which by the way was posed. They were facing that way when they started the picture. But it's not like showing that to show the person who is sending in application after application online, even though he used to be, a relatively important person in his company. What do you graphically show about that he never gets an answer back? And it's really the same as if you're looking for a job in fast foods. You don't get an answer back unless they hire you. Nobody writes back and says the position's being filled. That hurts, it's painful, and you have to use some ingenuity to show how that hurts, especially if the person's not going to cry on your shoulder. So you have to show things that are going on around him. And I interviewed people over a long period of time who'd lost the job at first, and then month after month you can see little signs of what's going downhill and the confidence you're losing. So that's what I mean by the drama.
This is part of the drama in the Pink Slip Club, right? Can
yeah.
you talk about that group of New York women?
Well, these are 4 New Yorkers who found through their church that they were all unemployed. So they started a Pink Slip Club. They thought they would keep each other company, so to speak, during what they assumed would be a few weeks of unemployment. I mean, they live in Manhattan and pay Manhattan rents, and they make about $50,000 a year. So those rents are expensive to them, but they love the city. So they figured, okay, we'll go to free concerts in the afternoon. We'll do things, and they figured they'd be unemployed very quickly. And they were, in fact, I gave them the name out of Seinfeld, because they were 4 friends in and out of each other's apartment all the time.
Jerry, Elaine, but it's Geraldine.
Jerry's a girl, yeah. And they were nice Seinfelders. They were very helpful to each other. And then time passes, and the seasons pass. It's like a movie, spring, and the autumn leaves are coming down, and the flowers are coming up. I mean, I have all these seasons, and they're still not employed, and they are very well educated for what they do. I mean, an insurance adjuster, someone who does accounts receivable at a big company, somebody who, at a communications company, in fact, it's a place like this actually, bigger than this, and an editor of a trade journal, a graphics guy who set up textbooks. They're very well educated. They just, and the important thing to me for the future is not just that they will never have jobs like that again. They are not going to make $50,000 a year again. They're not going to be able to pay their Manhattan rents. They're taking in roommates. But if they were able to get those jobs, the jobs would be part-time by now. The jobs would be without benefits, the actual same jobs. And that's unusual about this recession. Most recessions, companies cut back. They keep their core staff. They take less profits. They compete on the price basis and wait till things pick up. And then they start going back on the same level. In this recession, they continued cutting pay throughout. Not keeping the core staff, but turning the core staff into part-timers that will be permanent temps afterwards. So my book is about 40 years of a downturn. That's what made people get into that's of course is a debt crisis. People who are buying things ultimately they couldn't afford. And that, you know, it was as if their employer said to them, I have an idea. Instead of paying you to buy what you produce, I'll lend you the money. Well, is that a smart idea? I mean, how long can you go? That's obviously a kind of Ponzi scheme. You can't lend people whose income isn't going up, who have no new income coming in. So it fell apart. But the process that was lowering their income all these years, it kept on going throughout the recession. And that was surprising.
But using your crystal ball going forward, housing
if
starts
I had my crystal ball, I'd invest. I'd be
sure.
Stock investor, which I'm not.
Listen, housing starts are up. The Dow reached an all-time high. The economy seems to have trembles of recovery. Then again, the Occupy movement is starting to rev itself up. We have barricades now on Wall Street. Are
really?
You
I haven't seen any.
They're down there. We'll
go. I should go down. And
are you pessimistic or optimistic moving forward about the economy?
Well, other people have pointed it out that there's two sets of Americans and two economies. It wasn't always the case that stock market up meant ordinary wages are down. But now, when you don't have a growing economy, that's exactly what it means. Because the only way anybody can think of to take more profits out is not by expanding the business, but by cutting wages and occasionally by cutting expenses. So, no, I'm not optimistic because this is still a consumerist society. We sell 70% of what we produce to each other. And if the consumers are being beaten down, I mean the people who spend wages are being down, then the economy is really not expanding. And if the economy isn't expanding but profits are up, what's going to happen to that profits? You got those swelling bags of profit that keep growing and growing, and you know that swelling exerts a great pressure, has to be lent or invested somehow. I mean, that's what this whole website is about. And if it can't be invested by making things that you can sell to those people because they can't afford to buy them, then you'll start lending them money again. If it's not in the form of houses they can't afford, then we'll come up with something else. So I think it's not as if we came out of the recession. I think it's as if we fell into a deep, what do you call those things in a street? Not a manhole, a deep
speed hump?
Yeah, not a speed hump. You know, when you go in a pit in the sidewalk that we have all over Manhattan. Yeah, when you fall into a deep...
That's the concept. I'm with you.
Right. When you fall into a deep pothole, it's as if we fell into a deep pothole and continued speeding along in the same direction. We climbed out and nothing changed. By that I mean that if ordinary wages go down and people can't afford to buy, then the people who have all the money have to do something with it. I mean, a bank can't keep its money in the bank. So in America, they wind up one way or the other, whether it's through student loans or mortgages that no one can pay or credit card debt. And I can't predict the next one. I'm not really that sharp. I didn't predict this one. But you'll just keep, eventually you'll be lending to these people again in some form that will crash because they can't afford to buy.
Barbara Garson, author of Down the Up Escalator. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.